Hi, my name is Mark Mirza. I'm the founder of Common Thread Ministries and the state coordinator for the National Day of Prayer here in the state of Georgia. I just left a group of about 20 men that were standing in front of their high school, the high school there in their county. They were all from different denominations, different ethnicities, and they came together for one purpose: to humble themselves and to pray. It was amazing. The humility is what I saw that caught my eye. That is what was so amazing. Can I tell you, I need to be careful how I say this because I don't want this to diss women. But Paul was very, very clear. 1 Timothy 2:8a, he says, I want the men, the males, in every place to pray. We know he's talking about men, about males, because of the definite article there. But forget about that stuff. The very next verse he says, and likewise women, I want you to... Paul is being very, very clear. He says, I want the men in every place to pray. So here's what I think the issue is. I think the issue is disobedience on our part. And I need to just come to you with like that. You need to hear me. I love the fact that women pray. I do a number of women's prayer conference calls, and I love praying with them. The first time I started one, me and my prayer partner, we started with one with women. We said, look, after 2 weeks, we're going to be off the call. You guys can handle it yourself. That was 6 years ago. You see, women can pray from a part of their gut that men cannot. I love praying with women. I expect that to continue. But I'm telling you something. The reason we do not have revival in our nation is not because of the women. The reason we do not have revival in our nation is because you and I, men, we are not doing our part. What is that supposed to look like? Well, just before 1 Timothy 2:8a in verse 1, he says, listen, when it comes to praying, I want it to be petitions and prayers and thanksgiving and all that stuff for everyone. He then goes on and talks about praying for leaders, and then talks about his calling, and then goes back to, as if he doesn't want the point to be missed, I want the men in every place to pray. And we're not doing that. And so I just want to take a couple of minutes and encourage you a little bit, okay? I don't care about your athletic prowess. I care whether you're willing to try and pray. It will be the toughest thing you have ever done, because there will be example and opportunity and distraction come right after the other. They will keep coming and coming and coming, and you have got to persevere through those things. May I make just a quasi-strong statement here? If you are a deacon and you do not pray, you need to resign as a deacon. It is incredibly embarrassing to me to hear a pastor say, oh, Brother Mark, I never asked my deacons to pray until I've heard them pray first. Because he's had enough experience to know that they don't know how to pray. If you're a ministry leader and you do not pray with the people you are leading, you need to ask yourself, why are you a ministry leader? If you're a Sunday school teacher and you don't periodically take the time to put your hand on somebody's shoulder and pray for them that's in your class, you need to ask yourself why you're a Sunday school teacher. You may think I'm being harsh. I don't mean to be. What I mean to be is passionate. I want the men, the males, in every place to pray. One of the things that I like to tell people is that your prayer life is the barometer of your spiritual life. Dr. Stanley has always been much more eloquent than me, and he would say you stand tallest and strongest on your knees. Leonard Ravenhill would say, man is looking for better methods, better programs, but God is looking for better men. I'm telling you, we are the ones who are the problem. Men, you and I. And we need to fix that. And the only way you fix it is by beginning to pray. Usually, I find with men, the best way for us to learn to pray is to just pray. When I was a kid, I loved Nike. There's not too much about Nike I like anymore, except their motto, just do it. Are you willing to just do it? Are you tough enough to just do it? May I make a suggestion? Find somebody of yours, a friend of yours, and make a commitment that you're going to get on the phone once a week for 15 minutes. That's all. Spend the first 5 minutes praising the Lord. Spend the next 5 minutes praying for each other's families. And then the last 5 minutes praying for your ministry, whether it be at work, in your office, whatever the case may be, in your church. I've been doing these now for a decade. I do nearly 40 prayer conference calls a week. I don't think it's the time that God honors. I mean, after all, it's 15 minutes. If anything, that's embarrassing. I don't think it's the highfalutin words either. I think that what God honors is taking the time to do it consistently every single week. Your prayer life is not going to improve after just a few weeks. I love some of these great 8-week programs that we have, but it's not going to change your prayer life. I teach in my books, if you want to learn how to pray, get around people that pray. That's what you need to do. You need to get around other people and you guys begin to pray. The first 5 minutes praising the Lord. The next 5 minutes praying for your families. And the last 5 minutes lifting up what God is having you do. We have got to go back to the biblical mandate. I want the men in every place to pray. I wonder why Paul said that. I can only imagine the only reason he said that was because the same thing was happening in his day that has happened in our day. The women already do all the praying. I was saying this one day in Kenya, and this woman comes up to me. She says, "Brother Mark, don't you want the women to pray?" And I kind of lean into her a little bit. I said, "We both know that you would prefer to have your husbands praying a lot more, wouldn't you?" Yeah. So every time I go, not every time, most of the time when I go to a church, I call the men down at the end of the service to pray, to get on their knees and just spend a couple minutes talking to the Lord. Now I got to tell you, it ticks me off that I hear them snickering and joking as they're coming down the aisle, because most of them have never taken the time to pray like this. Most of them have never come down to the altar to pray. And most of them have never even taken the time to get on their knees. But let me tell you what's really humbling, is once they're down there, and I hear the women that are behind them still in their seats, whimpering, because they have never seen their husband come to the altar to pray. I want the men in every place to pray. When are we going to start adhering to that? You would think that with all the things God is doing to get our attention, we would be dialed into praying. We are not. We need to do that. There are tons more I can say on this subject, but I just want to leave you with one thing in case you have missed it in these 9.5 minutes. Paul says, I want the men in every place to pray. Go to my website, markmerza.com. We'll help you do that. We'll help you get started. You can join one of my men's prayer groups just to listen. You don't even have to participate. Just listen. Just start doing it. Let me help you do it. I want the men in every place to pray. That hasn't changed in 2,000 years. Have a great day. I'm talking like this because I love you. You need to hear that, okay?